Hi everyone, if you're on catch up, please bear with me. I'm just going to read something of a status that I wrote, but not everybody gets to see my statuses, so I'm going to do a short live on it and read it out in the hope that it helps people fight against this digital ID in one way, because there's many ways to challenge this. So if you bear with me, just going to wait for a few people to jump on. There we are. It's Sunday, the 12th of October. I hope everybody's doing great. I'm not going to take up too much time, but I'm going to read a status that I wrote on the 2nd of October. So if anyone wants to go back onto my Facebook to the 2nd of October, you can read this status yourself. And I thought I would do this because a lot of people are saying, well, you know, what are we going to do about digital ID? What are we going to do about digital ID? And digital ID is one of those things that we're all going to hopefully resist. And we all need to fight in our own everyday lives. I think what people are missing in amongst all this is that we're so busy fighting each other on religious beliefs, cultural beliefs, colour beliefs. The racism right now is rife. And one thing that I absolutely cannot bear is racism. It is literally one of my pet hates. I hate it. And I've said this before, I don't care what religion you follow. As long as you do no harm, you have the right to live in peace. But there's a lot of misinformation going on. And then the biggest fear is this digital ID. How are we going to fight digital ID? Now, the problem is that we've all been entered into a system. So we're all going to sit there and say, oh yeah, I'm going to fight digital ID, I'm not going to accept it. But the likelihood is that it's going to be dripped in to your everyday life. It's going to be your benefits, your work, your medical. And there is very, very good reasons not to accept this. Because we know that digital ID has got nothing to do with immigrants, to stop the immigrants. It's more to do about complete and utter control. We already have ID, you know, we have birth certificates, which is not really a form of ID anyway, because it even says it on there. We have, you know, bank statements, bills, you know, anyone can be ID'd. You only have to write to your doctor and they can give you a letter, I don't remember what it falls under, which is as strong as your birth certificate. So even if you don't have a birth certificate, you can get a specific letter from your doctor which acts as a birth certificate. But there's going to be many ways to fight this, but the fight is not going to be as all of us uniting together. The fight is going to be your own individual resistance. And at the moment, the fear is, oh, we need to fight these Islamic terrorists. We need to fight, you know, someone was mentioning something about the brotherhood, the Islamic brotherhood of terrorists and whatever. And the moment you fall for this, the moment you fall for these Islamic terrorist groups, you've already lost a fight. Because the fight is not with them. The fight is with your governments, the people that are trying to restrict your freedom, the people that are trying to enslave you. So you are not fighting these terrorists because they've been placed there for this very reason, to inflict the fear and to make people panic. You are fighting your governments, and your governments are the puppets. They're not even the ones that are controlling the world. They're just the puppets that are implementing this in every country. And some countries have already had biometrics ID and digital ID for a long time. So we need to stop the fear, because a lot of these events are all staged and they're just there to make people fearful, panic, and think, oh my God, what are we going to do? And if the fear is that great, then many people will believe that we need digital ID, like they believe that we needed the vaccines and the vaccine passports to get back to normal. But that's because you're working from a place of fear, and that's because the controllers have managed to get you into that place of fear. So you've lost rationale, you've lost thinking, you've lost all of that. You are fighting obviously a very big system. You are fighting probably the biggest cartel in the world and the biggest criminal gang in the world. That is literally what we are fighting. We are fighting an organized criminal gang. And the fight will be down to you as an individual to resist. So how are you going to do this? What I'm going to read now, again, is from my status on the 2nd of October. You guys are more than, happy to go and have a read yourself. I'm not saying that this is the only way to fight it, but it's one way to do it. Some people may say that still keeps you in the system, but most of us are in the system. And until we all start educating ourselves, in my belief, on our rights, and we have rights, our civil rights are our constitutional rights, and this is what they are trying to take away from us, then we are not going to be able to know how to apply this fight. And if you imagine everybody in the country learning their rights, learning their constitutional rights, and learning how to take back what is rightfully theirs, and flooding the system, then I think we stand a better chance of destroying the system from within. Now, one of my approaches was for people to do 3-day home strikes and literally bring the whole country to standstill financially, to not feed the big monopolies like the supermarkets, the petrol stations, things like that. But a lot of people can't take time off work. However, we can start doing this in our everyday life. So try not to shop in big supermarkets, use local farm shops. Stop buying from supermarkets because you are giving them power. And your fruits and veg and your meat should all come from local farmers, local farm shops. Avoid big monopolized corporations. That is literally the best thing you can do in your everyday life. But here I am. I'm going to read this document that I wrote as one way of fighting the system. Knowing our rights will not allow us to access money from our banks. Well, don't put your money in a bank then, because as soon as you put your money in a bank, you are giving them authority over it. However, again, it depends how you sign the documents, because everything is about contract. So here goes. I'm going to read this and I hope it helps people. And if anyone wants to add to this, if anyone's got any better ideas, then please share it. We are all here to learn from each other. No one has the absolute answers because we are dealing with criminals. So this was my status. Unless you want to trade freedom for safety, in order to require 69.7 million people in the UK to have digital ID by claiming it is mandatory, you require 69.7 million writs of mandamus to compel the performance for a digital ID. What is mandatory? In order for anything to be mandatory, even in your workplace, what is required is a writ of mandamus, which is a court order that commands government officials or a body to perform a mandatory public duty that they are legally required to do, but have failed to perform or refrain from doing something that the law forbids. Issued in Anglo-American law, it is not a right, but a discretionary remedy granted by a court to compel the performance of a legal, non-discretionary duty, and not to dictate how a discretionary duty should be performed. So the key aspects of a writ of mandamus: compelling a duty. So its primary purpose is to force the public official or a lower court to fulfill a duty that they are legally obliged to perform. So basically, we command is what a mandamus means. Discretionary remedy. A court will not issue a writ of mandamus as a matter of course. It is within the court's discretion to grant it, often based on equitable principles. This is where they sue you, and you need to come to court and have your say because it is based on equitable principles, which means due process is required. They are getting away with doing everything without due process, and until we hold all these people accountable for failure of due process, which is our right in constitution, then we're never going to win. You have to agree somewhere in writing that you agree to be bound by their terms and conditions, and you are happy to trade freedom for safety. This digital ID is freedom for safety, like it was with COVID, freedom for safety. When your rights are reserved, you can automatically challenge jurisdiction. To take you to court, they need to prove your jurisdiction, and jurisdiction can only be obtained in 4 ways: in persona, in rem, territorial, and subject matter. No alternative remedy. A writ of mandamus is not generally granted if there is another adequate legal remedy available to the person seeking the order. So don't forget, a person is a business. So see Interpretation Act 1978, Schedule 1. When they talk about person, they are talking about business. No discretionary acts. The writ cannot be used to compel an official to perform a discretionary act in a particular way, but rather to compel the exercise of discretion itself. Distinction from the writs. A writ of prohibition prohibits a lower court or an official from acting in excess of its jurisdiction. And most of these people, most of these companies, they act exactly that. A writ of certiorari. This quashes or cancels a decision or judgment that has already been made, often in response to an appeal. In conclusion, when a government official tells you that you have to do something that is mandatory, unless there is a writ of mandamus issued by the court in your name, it is not mandatory. The issue at law are threefolds: status, jurisdiction, and adjudication. Whenever you sign anything, it is all based on a contract where you agree to be bound by the terms and condition. Everything is contract. But the key is to always reserve your rights, because if you do not reserve your rights, they are considered waived. How to reserve your rights? You can put V, capital V, .c, which stands for V coactus, before any signature. I personally would write it fully. Or after you sign something, write underneath things like all rights reserved, or without prejudice, or under duress, or under protest. I would do, if I was signing something, I would write V, which is VI, coactus, COACTUS, before the signature, and then after the signature I would also write either all rights reserved or under protest or under duress, because then you are reserving your right. So basically, in order to require 69.7 people in the UK to have digital ID by claiming it's mandatory, you require 69.7 million writs of mandamus to compel the performance for digital ID. That has to go to court. This is just something that I wanted to share with you. I'm not saying that this is the only way to fight this. Right, the VC in red pen means you're a living entity. Yeah, I think red or purple as well. That's another one. Possibly blue. I'm not entirely sure. I think blue is another one. We've been entered into this system whether we like it or not. The contracts with your work, the contracts with, you know, benefits, they are absolutely going to be targeting. And this is another reason why they want to remove paper, because they don't want you signing things properly. So this is something else I believe people should be looking into. And right now we're being distracted by all these terrorist attacks, by all these organised staged events, by the fear, by the let's go marching. Oh, is blue a commercial one? Okay, so don't do blue. But anyway, purple and red. There are other ways. I'm not saying this is the only way, but I think this is a start. If we all start reserving our rights are based in constitutional rights, which means that they cannot go against your constitutional rights, which are your birthrights. When you are signing something and you don't reserve them, that means you are authorizing them to dictate to you, to tell you how to do it, when to do it, and to be the slave. Everything is about contracts. It's something that I want to learn more about, and it's something that I wanted to share with you guys. I hope this helps. It would be great if we can have some great minds get together and start doing paperwork rather than marching, because the pen is mightier than the sword. And if going to London is your way of fighting this, then you are missing the intelligence to deal with this directly with the people who are trying to impose this onto you. We are dealing with corrupt, criminal elites who are running the show. But if we flood our companies, our workplace, you know, your driving license, you know, you say that you want to renew your driving license and then sign your driving license in the same way, then we stand a better chance if we have to go to court to say, actually, I reserved my rights, and my rights are that, you know, I have the right to travel freely, you know, without being harassed. And, you know, at the end of the day, how have we got to living in a world where we are being dictated to so much about everything we can do? We need to start taking our rights back. And if we don't know them, then we don't have them. I hope this helps. Share it. And if anyone has another method that they want to share which can help, please do. Have a wonderful Sunday. Much love. Ciao for now.
Research flat